Hi guys,
Yeah.
welcome to Astro Reiki. We're in Cancer season and happy summer solstice.
Weird summer solstice.
It is very weird. It is very weird. It is very off. It feels very off. And it's interesting because I feel like for the most part, I feel like winter solstices sometimes are weird, right? It'll be like warm or something. It's not very cold. But for summer, I feel for the most part, it usually feels like pretty summery when we're going into a summer solstice. And this is
Fired up.
yeah, this is not the vibe. It has been raining. It's going to continue to be rainy here in Atlanta, anyway. And yeah, it just feels gloomy, which gloom is an interesting energy in itself because it's one of those things. Melancholy is what I've been saying too. Like that's kind of the energy. It feels, and we're in Cancer season. It's our feelings, right? The mantra for Cancer is I feel.
All the
So
moody.
right, and so it's like it's okay for us to. I'm trying to tell this to myself as well. It's okay for us to be in this space right now and not feel these high frequency energies or feelings. If you are feeling that, please bottle it up, sell it over here because I will take it. But our emotions, they're on a spectrum and there's so many of them. And a lot of times here, I do think we skew things towards high vibe, which is great. We love it, but we're also, real and authentic. And sometimes you're just not feeling it. And so that's where I am personally. I'm not feeling this, yay, it's summertime. I just want to go outside and hang out with all these people and like be cute. Like I'm just no, I'm actually happy that it's rainy and gloomy and deterring all social activity, even though I'll be social this weekend because I don't have a choice. But anyway, yeah, we're in this, and the symbol is the crab, feeling crabby, feeling moody, feeling like I don't really want to talk to you. And Cancer, energy has that about that kind of like protectedness to it. And so that's kind of what it feels like too, like protecting your energy, being more like aware of what feels good and what doesn't, or if you're not feeling so great, being in your own space, being at home. Cancer is rules the fourth house, and it's the house of the home, the house of family. And so this might be a season, especially like right now, as we're getting into it, as we're flowing into it, as Cancer is that water energy. And I'm murdering bugs left and right. Cancer is that water energy. We're flowing. And so right now, I feel like the flow is kind of like chill, wanting to be comfortable and maybe comfortable in your own emotional space where you're at. Just accepting, because that's always what we have to do first with everything is just accept how you're feeling. I'm not feeling so great. I'm not feeling so excited. I'm feeling lots of feels. I am feeling it. Cancer energy activated. It's happening. And so being in this space in the home, you can find that comfort with it's your energy, it's your space, it's yours. And so I just feel like there's a lot of like coming back to that, coming back to yourself, coming back to your own energy. And even if that feels uncomfortable, because that's what I was talking to Keisha about. I think we've been in this, especially coming out of Gemini season, we've been in this very surface space. Like, oh yeah, we've been up here with it. And I feel like Cancer is causing us to drop into our depths of like our being. And that's you can drown in that bitch, right? Like that is like intense energy. And that's what I feel this season's about, is reconnecting with like who your soul. The moon rules Cancer, and the moon in your natal chart is your soul. It's literally your soul's energy. And so that's what this is, reconnecting with that, the actual essence of who you are, what you actually care about, or what maybe you've been trying to pretend like you don't care about what doesn't matter, what really, but it does matter. You know, it's like that energy, like getting beyond the surface and things that look good or can feel good at the moment. That's kind of also what it feels like. Something, because Gemini, you know, it's distracted. You're here, you're there, boom, boom, boom. My Gemini season was all over the goddamn place. And I wasn't paying any attention to my feelings. I wasn't paying any attention to my feelings because I didn't have to, because I could just do this social thing and that social thing and that social thing and talk to this person. And so I didn't have to sit with myself and how I'm really feeling about all these changes that are happening around me. Now, like a tidal wave, here comes this Cancer energy knocking me fucking over. And I'm like, I'm fucking sad. I hate everything right now, if I'm being honest. So that's kind of this flowy, emotional turbulence that you may be feeling throughout the season, and allowing yourself to be okay with that, because the Chariot is the traditional ruler, Chariot tarot card of Cancer. And it's about moving forward, determination. You know, you get in that chariot and you keep going. And so even though the emotional intensity may come through and that tidal wave may come and knock you out, it's like you get back up and you keep moving towards your heart-centered goals. What matters to you, what matters to your soul, remembering that you have your goals for a reason. They're coming from your truth, who you are, why you're here. And that can help you feel grounded in this emotionally like up and down energy. Because cardinal, right? It's cardinal. Cancer is cardinal energy. So like that determination with that Chariot card, it's like, we're going this way. This is the direction that we're going in. And that can keep us going. That determination, that perseverance, that fight, that like, okay, I'm going to keep going, can get us through the other side. I mean, fingers crossed. So yeah, also the Cancer is the mother, right? So mothering yourself, being kind to yourself. What would your mom do? Or what would you do as a mom? Or what feels safe and secure and nourishing and nurturing to you? You know, that might be a lot of that self-love talk that comes down. You know, I use this word recently. Again, sorry to Keisha, but bristle. Okay. I bristle at that word a lot, self-love, because it's like, well, what the fuck you think I'm doing every day? Waking up, hating myself? Like, no, I'm doing things because I love me. But then it's like the intentionality is important sometimes, to be like, I'm doing this, I'm putting energy into myself. You know, it doesn't have to be all like woo woo and fucking corny, because that's why I think I'm like, ugh, self-love. You know what I mean? It's just like being intentional. Like, I really enjoy this. Like, I made some tea before, right? That is self-love. I love fucking tea. It makes me feel good. It makes me feel like I'm being intentional about what I'm drinking, putting in my body. And that right there is self-love. And so that can be helpful, I think, too, during this season of the feels. So with that, I'm going to pull some tarot. You know what? I'm going to use my mythical goddess tarot, since we're talking about the mother. Spirit, goddess, divine, feminine energy, the moon, the vibes, us,
Mother.
the mother.
Divine mother.
Please
Big
come.
mama.
Yes, please come through here for a collective message for this Cancer season 2023. This okay. There's lots of the other thing that I wanted to mention astrologically during the season, the nodes are going to shift. The nodes have been in Taurus and Scorpio for the past 18, 20 months. probably a little bit more, about 2018, 18, I think it's 18. They went into Taurus and Scorpio January 2022. So yeah, about 18 months. So they will be shifting into Aries and Libra around July 17th. So smack dab middle of Cancer season, or towards the end actually. But yeah, we're gonna have a lot of change in this cardinal season. Obviously, Aries and Libra are cardinal energies as well. So there's gonna be the Chariot, like I said, there's gonna be a lot of directionality this season. I feel that, and I think that's why this ebb and flow with your emotions is going to be important, because we're kind of like, we're in the middle of this and that. We're ending this Taurus fixed nodal energy that really boom, like shifted us. And but like, where are we going? It's like it changed things, really changed things in us. And now it's like, yo, the cards that we just got for this collective energy, the divine heard us.
What you said? The Libra Aries shift happens July when?
17th. The Rumi and Bestie's birthday. Okay, so here's the collective message. It's crazy accurate. We love it. First of all, we have 3 major arcana, which is the divine stepping in, showing us the way, guiding us, giving us a roadmap. First, my favorite card is the Star coming through. And look at her up there. She's literally giving us the message. Divine is like, hey, follow me, which is exactly what the Star is all about. The Star is one, like I was saying earlier, connecting back to yourself, your authentic self, your goals, your dreams, your manifestations, right? The Star card's about what you're manifesting, what you're wanting to bring in. And it's also realizing that you are the star in your life. So getting rid of the distraction and getting focused back on your path, back in alignment with yourself. 7, as we get into July, is a number of alignment. So getting back in alignment. I feel like with these nodal shifts, we're getting, here you go. Okay, things are going to happen, things are going to shift, and remind you that you're in alignment, you're on the right path, even when you're gloomy, even when it feels like you're panicking, which I've been saying. Everything is fine. And I think we'll see that as we progress through this season. Next up, the gosh darn moon. Okay, we have, this is the Pleiadian star goddess, and then this is Ixchel.
Ishel.
So I think that's a Mayan goddess, if I'm not.
Yep, she's in the goddess oracle deck for women's for the goddess guidance meditation. She's the one who's the medicine woman.
Yes. Ooh, yes. So the moon, she represents the moon in this deck. So medicine woman, the healer. So a lot of soul healing. Okay, going back to the moon being our soul, and it's crossed by Zuni, who's the Fool. And so these new beginnings here of your new beginnings in your emotional space, in your soul space, your alignment, it's like a clean slate, kind of, with that water element of Cancer too. It's especially with the cardinal, it's like clearing. To me, I just saw like sand, and when the wave comes and the sand gets all kicked up, and then it's like sandy, and then it comes back out and everything settles. Like, that's what I feel like it's doing. And that's probably why I've been feeling so gosh darn emotional. It's like kicking up all this sand and trying to really get you back into alignment with where you're supposed to be going. If we've gotten veered off or we got distracted, okay? If we've been feeling conflicted about what's going on. And then finally, really cool, we have the crone, which is the technically like the King of Cups, but the crone energy here, the seas, and resurrection is the message. So yeah, I feel like Cancer season, this actually makes me feel so much better, Spirit. Thank you. It's like, okay, you may have felt like you died or you're dying, or you're floundering, but you're going to get resurrected this season, okay? The crone has something to teach you, and it's teaching you that sometimes shit isn't sweet. Sometimes shit is hard and shit doesn't work, and you feel these gloomy feelings, and sometimes it's raining on the summer solstice, but that rain is cleansing, clearing, sending a message of like it's giving us, like it's nurturing us, right? It's like, what wisdom can we find throughout this season that was being shown to us? And I think it starts with today with the rain, a lot. I feel that. So cool message. I fucking dig this. This feels very spot on and makes me feel so much better. Keisha will let you know, I've been teetering on just losing my mind. So.
I like how you say that, just so, like, yeah, I'm just going crazy. It's fine, y'all. It's fine. It's just, I don't know what the fuck's happening, but it's fine. It's fine. Actually, that's kind of, so it's funny because that's how I've been too. Like, I don't know, like Mother's Day, I fell and injured my tailbone. It's still healing, healing quickly, but it's still healing. And then like 2 weeks ago, I was just sitting at a light. There's cars in front of me. The light just turned green. The cars in front of me started moving. I hadn't moved yet, and then the big tractor trailer behind me just hit me. And then I got whiplash, and I'm just like, what is this? Like, what the heck? So I realized that I just had to be, when things like shit hits the fan or the dust gets kicked up, and things aren't like settled and clear. I noticed for me, I just go into that space of like acceptance, like, well, here it is.
Blessings.
Right. I know, I'm just sitting here like, I don't know, my tailbone is jacked up, my neck now, from the whip. I'm just like, okay, we're just here now. We're just here. This is what we're just doing right now. However, I'm grateful that the damage to my car is like barely even, like, it's barely noticeable considering this big 18-wheeler hit me. But I just noticed that, to me, like, this is a time, fortunately, I guess because the way my chart is set up, the Libra and the Sag, the sun and moon in me is just like, we're just gonna fly above all this shit, and just, Sydney's over here wallowing in her feelings and stuff, and I'm just like, detachment, great, I'm great at that. I don't feel shit. Okay. I am just gonna be optimistic and avoidant. Gonna take flight. But yeah, it's just one of those things where it's like learning to be in a place of acceptance, right? And so I am kind of the same way when it comes down to the whole self-love thing. I do believe like learning how to come home to yourself, how to anchor yourself is very vital as a tool, very important for self-regulation. But that's like the terms I like to use now. Instead of like showing myself love, I'm like, oh, self-love. So yeah, I don't wake up and just like, you just nincompoop. Like I don't just wake up and just start berating myself. However, I will say that there are different ways to regulate yourself. So I like to look more towards things like self-regulation. When I'm dysregulated, when I'm, unnerved, when I'm unsettled, when I'm in disarray, like it's like things get chaotic, and then how do I regulate and come back to self, right? How do I come back home to self? How do I quote unquote self-soothe? And so self-soothing is something I like to do as well, especially when I'm frustrated, when I'm angry, when I'm overwhelmed, when I feel like there's just, so many things happening that are out of my control. How can I self-soothe, especially when I'm like in just a funk, I'm like, what are the things that bring me pleasure? And therefore I can both experience pleasure and pain, right? And I don't necessarily have to, or suffering or whatever, strife, that kind of stuff. But it's one of those things where what are the things that still make me feel good, just so that I don't get stuck wallowing in my stuff. You know what I'm saying? My body also knows, oh, yes, this doesn't feel good over here, but at the same time, I still have access to things that do make me feel good, things that bring me joy, bring me pleasure. So to me, it's kind of almost like Cancer season in Leo, a little bit energy, because you're like wallowing in this moodiness and these sorrow, this feelings and stuff over here. But then the things that bring me pleasure and joy and happiness, those are the things that's kind of almost like going into Leo season in a way for me, as far as like how it looks. So it's like this ebb and flow and being able to have more emotional fluidity, so that you're riding the waves of your emotions versus like anchoring down and being like stuck in them. And so I think regulatory tools or self-soothing tools, like I know when I'm frustrated and upset, I'm like, the first thing I'm going to do is, well, I'm probably going to cry. But after I do that, then I'll do things like, I know what makes me feel good is having a clean, organized environment. So, you know what? Let me just sit here and let me just fold some clothes real quick. Let me turn some music on. Sound is a great vibrational shifter. So I'll put on some kind of music that I like, start dancing, moving while I'm cleaning up. Hell, put on a face mask while I'm doing all of this. I'll put on a face mask while I'm doing all of this kind of stuff, and just doing things to like not just love on myself, but to pamper, to nurture myself, right, in these moments. And something I think that is vital to also embrace as we're feeling all the feels and moving through these emotions is to learn self acceptance. Can you really accept? Because when you accept, yes, I'm feeling this way, or yes, I don't like this, or yes, I'm crabby today. What you're doing is you're giving yourself permission. Okay, you're giving yourself permission to do something, and that permission creates a sense of freedom, okay, within yourself. So when you give yourself permission to have a moody day or feel crabby or whatever it is, then it's like, oh, the judgment, the self-loathing, right, and not having to wallow in that energy is lessened, and it gives you a little space to be able to practice compassion and so forth. And so yes, this is all under the umbrella of self-love, but how do you self-love? You see what I'm saying? And it's not necessarily the like just affirmations and things like that. There are other ways you can show yourself love by being accepting of what you're feeling. Give yourself permission to feel the feels, but to also accept that this is what the feeling is right here, right now. Having that permission to do that. What are ways that you can show yourself love in a way that's soothing? Maybe you decide to just, take a bath and caught baby yourself, caught like what do you call it? Ball up in the blankets and everything after you've had a nice bath and just Netflix and chill. I actually walked in the house and I was telling my son, "Can you make me some tea?" Because tea also is something that is very soothing to me. It can be very ritualistic as well. But I think right now, to me, what I'm getting is accepting how you're feeling. Learn to accept your feelings, because what happens is when we start to deny our feelings, now things get stifled. Energy gets stifled. We become resistant. We go into denial, or we're just completely oblivious to things and the depth of the healing and the feelings that, the depths of the feelings where healing can take place. And so it's kind of a practice, right, of how can you nurture yourself right now. Like I like to ask myself, instead of like, oh, let me practice some self, I like to ask myself, okay, what can I do to self-soothe because I'm feeling shitty boo boo right now? What are the things I can do to just nurture myself? How can I, do something or shift my energy in a way that's going to make me feel not only more emotionally fluid, but more anchored in my being and just being present. And so something else that came um, is like with the moon card, or the moon, the chariot, and cardinal energy of Cancer. Moon is the soul, chariot is movement, the cardinal is initiation. So it's like soul movement and initiation, but also sometimes we need to move into a new space of initiation. You know what I'm saying? We need to maybe create that space. And maybe that space of initiation is us going deeper or expanding into various territories of ourselves that we haven't explored yet. So diving a little deeper and I think it's also very interesting with the this energy, because for some reason this, maybe it's the mother energy, the loving nurture, I don't know, it's almost, there's this innocence and this purity type of vibe that I'm getting, like innocence meaning like being able to, like kids, right? We look at kids that they're so innocent but they're so full of emotions. Kids go through a myriad of emotions on any given day, but we still see them as pure and innocent. So it's like, look at yourself through through that lens as well. That regardless of what is going on, you still have a purity about you. Don't judge yourself. That acceptance, once again, don't judge yourself for what you're feeling. Give yourself permission to feel those things so you can clear and purify that and really get back to that process of hopefully experiencing pleasure and joy, because in the tantra program, that's something that they talk about, is the more you allow yourself to purify, the more space you hold for pleasure, right? Because we get bogged down with all that energy that we may feel, and then we press it down if they don't feel good, and then we continue to press them down, which is repressing them. And because we press them so deep, which is called suppressing, then the things down there gets dense. It can, because it's kind of like sinking to the bottom of the ocean, right? It becomes colder, becomes darker, it's hard to see. You're just like, what the hell is going on down here? And now you get this, like, well, I'll talk about that in some other meditation, but it just gets a little, like, it gets quieter and it gets more still down there, but it's also like dark and mysterious, and you're not really sure what's going on. Something might, swipe over, something might swipe over your foot or whatever, or you might feel something touch your shoulder, but you don't know what the heck it is when the water's all dark and murky. Was that a fish? Was that a piece of seaweed, piece of plastic? Who knows? And so it's kind of like, let yourself be in that space and just observe, just feel, just notice, but try not to get too stuck there. Like, allow yourself to ride those waves of emotions, that emotional fluidity, just so that the energy doesn't get stuck or trapped. Because um, like what do you call it? Like energy, or like electricity. Sorry, like electricity. In order for energy to be efficient, it has to flow. And a lot of times, especially as women, we're talking about this feminine energy of Cancer. Guess what? Our flow is all down here in our sacral chakra. And that's where that energy of dysregulation can become very, very detrimental to our overall health, our creativity. It can cause us to be detached from our emotions, but also to be kind of cold, distant, and detached in our relationships. Maybe we shut ourselves down emotionally. But this is an opportunity for you to, like, feel the feels with awareness. And I think that comes with that comes from that place of self acceptance, that permission to feel whatever it is that you're feeling. And then with the crone energy out of the tarot cards, the crone to me is kind of like, well, actually, let's start from the beginning. So the star card to me is like following your North Star, your true self, right? Your own inner guidance. And you do that through your intuition. And then the moon is there, some days it's illuminated. So some days your intuition might be really full and you can really tap into it, and, things are very apparent to you. And other days it's, well, like the moon when it's in the dark, it's like, things you kind of have to feel a little deeper. You got to look a little harder maybe, or just go inwards. And so this is opportunity for that. But the Fool to me is kind of like that lighthearted innocence, that childlike playful energy that I was talking about, of just like, oh, I'm just gonna do this. And just kind of like, okay, this, like, kids, they don't judge themselves for how they feel. They feel what they feel. They cry, they're moody, they're cranky, they take a nap, they go through their feelings and they don't let it get stuck. Okay, they don't let it get stuck. It's kind of like the polar bear shaking thing and so forth that they talk about in, like, self-regulation. Just sometimes you literally have to shake it off. And but then the crone brings that wisdom, that awareness, like, now that I've moved through those emotions, what wisdom can I extract from it? How can I take that wisdom and then apply it so that now I have a greater sense of self, but also I am not just wiser and more intuitive, but I'm also more deeply anchored in myself. Okay, so this is kind of even though Cancer energy is like nurturing. I feel like this is an opportunity for us to nurture ourselves more instead of externalizing that. I think it's an opportunity for us to go deeper within. So it's more of an internal kind of energy this Cancer season. And with it being rainy on this summer solstice, it's to me, it's almost like I always talk about the rain is like your tears, and they say when your mind is tired, when the brain and the body or something is tired, then that's when we typically have like, maybe like our nose starts running, things like that. You might get sick, right? When our body is tired. When we're emotionally tired, well, then we start to cry. So a lot of times the purification process has to deal with water in some way, shape, or form. Same thing like with it raining right now. Rain, what does it do? It washes away the old, but it also nurtures what needs to grow. Okay, so if you're in your feels and you need to cry, go ahead and do it, and just see it as a ceremonial thing. Look at your tears as a ritualistic opportunity. Your crying is a ritualistic opportunity to purify your emotions so that you can embody and hold more pleasure, more presence, and more childlike innocence within your space. I'm going to grab my.
That was fucking fire, bro.
Thank you.
So interesting. Allowing the crying for me is when I tell y'all I cry like because something is like heartwarming. That type of crying for me, easy. When I'm like, oh my God, like that's easy cry. But like what you said, an emotional release cry, it is so uncomfortable for me that I want to I just did it the other day. I want to crawl out of my skin. How uncomfortable it is for me to emotionally purge. It's crazy. It is like, it's the worst feeling to me. It's overwhelming for me. I want to take it off. I got to get out of my skin. It's too much. Whew. So yeah, when you said crying is you're emotionally tired.
Mm-hmm. Because that's when I know that's when I cry. Like if I get overwhelmed with stuff and feel like I don't have any control. I don't know what to do. I just got so much. I will cry. I'm definitely a crier when it comes down to that. And I obviously cry when I'm sad. But you know what? It's gotten to the point where I've learned to honor my crying as as something sacred, to where now there are times where I'm like, ooh, I want to cry. Like I just want to get it out, like last week I was crying about something and I was like, why do I feel like this? And I just kind of started to feel sad. And as soon as I started to feel that sadness, I was like, oh, here we go, we're purging. All right. And so even though I was like equally sad and like excited, it was weird, like, am I bipolar? What is this? But no, it's because I've learned to honor my emotions, and I practice giving myself permission to feel what I feel. So when I am angry, I just be like, yes, I am angry. And I will just let myself move through that feeling. And when I am sad about something, I will let myself, it's weird to get excited. I don't like feeling sad. It makes me obviously feel sad when I'm sad, go figure. But when I start to feel that energy coming up to cry, I now actually there's a little part of me that actually gets excited because I know that I'm healing. It's literally a physical expression of release. And I'm just like, there's a part of it that's like, yes, I'm about to cry. And if I'm gonna cry, I'm gonna cry. I'm just gonna let it out. And I love it. It is so cathartic for me. And it's like not that I love to cry, but I love giving myself permission to have that experience when it comes up.
Yeah.
Because for me, that is what strengthens my emotional fluidity. being able to be like, oh, I could be here and be present and be in this moment. But you know what? Once I'm done with that moment, boom, it's done. It's done. You know, and it shifts things. Like last week, I was so frustrated because I'm so ready to move into my next phase of life. I see it, I feel it, all this stuff, but I'm just like, oh, there's all this other stuff that still has to be done in the way. Like, can I just go from A to like Z instead of B, C, D, and all this other stuff in between? Can I just, you know, like just go to the front line? Right. Y'all like, y'all got VIP. Can I just put my name on it? You know, like, and just walk up. But no, but it's like, so I got frustrated, and I realized when I started crying, I was like, okay, I'm sad and frustrated. But what was deeper than that, the message was, when I was crying, it was a part of me. Also, it hit me. I was like, as I'm crying, that, oh, I'm not just crying because I'm frustrated. My soul is grieving what was.
Jesus.
I was like, holy shit. Right. I was like, my soul in this moment, I'm so, because I let myself feel those feelings. So I was like, my soul in this moment actually low key is grieving who I was. She has to die in order for me to step into this new Keisha. Right. And so I'm like, okay, so here I am. And once I had that awareness, I was like, well, I'm going to give myself permission to grieve the old Keisha and, you know, and be with what is. So it's like, I'm grieving what was, I'm being present with what is, and I am preparing myself, creating space for what will be, you know, and what is coming.
And you know what got us on this conversation? I mean, the last thing you spoke about, the crone. Everything that you just fucking said was wisdom at the nth degree.
Yeah.
And on the card, resurrection is the message.
Yeah, I didn't think about. Oh yeah, resurrection.
And that's literally what you just described. You had to let a part of yourself die so you can be essentially reborn.
Yeah.
And that's Scorpio energy, which is wild because that's the energy of the crone on that card. It's Scorpio energy.
Wow.
Wow.
I didn't think about that. I was like, well, why am I okay with letting myself grieve and cry so much? And I'm like, well, because you got Scorpio. You're not scared to go deep, Keisha. That's why, with there yourself and with others. So that's probably why Cancer sees it. I'm like, this ain't shit.
See, my Venus is
emotional, but it's all right.
That's what it is. And
I'm used to going deep. This ain't shit. Cancer. Whatever.
That's so what it is.
That's got to be what it is. Yeah, that's why I'm like, oh, this Cancer's all right. But also, the crone. So it's interesting because we say that Cancer is like the mother, right? And a lot of times we talk about the triple goddess. There's actually 4 goddesses, okay? And so the different aspects of the 4 goddesses, when you look at a woman's life, and the different seasons or cycles of her life, you have the spring season, which is like the maiden, you know, the inner child, the young, youthful woman, the maiden. And then you have the mother, right? So that's kind of like more like middle age-ish, you know, like 20s, 30s. But then you have the maga or the healer phase. And a lot of people, I think it's a systemic thing. And I say that because the maga healer phase is where the mother, pretty much like where I am in life, I'm the maga healer now, because the mother, you've done your job. You've raised your kids, they're out the house, they're grown. And now it's time for you again. And but you've got all this wisdom. And typically the maga is very, very powerful in society because she's gained all this wisdom and now she shares it with the community. Okay. So she's like not necessarily the wise elder, but she's like out and about in the community. She's nurturing, pouring into.
She's the sage or the teacher.
Yeah, she's the maga.
The guy. Yeah.
So the example of that would be like Oprah Winfrey or like Hillary Clinton or Marianne Williamson, like, you know, all those women. Lisa, what's the lady? She's a black lady, does the money stuff and all that. But anyways, but the maga healer phase is about like 45 to like 65. You know what I'm saying? And so society, of course, doesn't want us to know that because that's when a woman is really, really powerful. She's not this young, youthful, innocent that's kind of naive. And she's not the mother at home bearing children and child rearing and stuff like that. And then the crone is, guess what? When you're old, you get more spiritual, but you're at the tail end. You ain't time and energy, you chilling, right? So guess what? Of course, society is going to take out that whole chapter of empowered, strong woman that's wise, and like, nope, there's only three. Yeah, you're young and you're cute, you're having my babies, or you're dying. We don't need you powerful and in the streets making changes and pouring into the community, and you know what I'm saying, building for the next generation. We don't want you to do that. That's that patriarch bullshit. But anyways,
Wowzers.
right. So
Preaching. Hardcore preaching. Everything that was just shared tonight. As usual, there's something about Astro Reiki.
Let's get into some of this Reiki then. Taking a moment just to check in with yourself. How are you feeling? What are you thinking? Where are you in time and space and energy and spirit? How are you feeling about yourself in this moment? How can we move into a space of total acceptance? Allowing yourself to just soften, softening around the edges, fluffing your aura, softening around the edges. Full permission to just notice and observe and just feel, feeling it all out. Allowing yourself to breathe deep. Notice the ebb and flow of breath moving through the body. Expanding into the depths of the low belly as you inhale, allowing that energy to build and coming up, expanding in the heart space, in the mind. And on the exhale, allowing energy to flow and to be released, softening any tension within the mind, the heart space, and emptying out all of that breath all the way down, squeezing all of that old stagnant energy as you drop down into the base of the belly. And just taking a moment, noticing what it feels like to anchor into yourself. Feeling yourself expansive. Feeling yourself stretching out in every direction, just creating some space. Noticing and observing from that still point of where you are now, then the mind's eye, maybe just allowing yourself to just breathe, to just be. Accepting that your thoughts may wander, accepting your emotions and however you're feeling, accepting how you're feeling in your body, accepting any judgments or observations of yourself. How much can you accept in this moment of what is going on right here, right now? And just notice The energy moves and sways around you and through you as you allow yourself to just practice mindfulness. Your mind may be full of thoughts, full of ideas, but allow the breath to take you deeper, sinking down deeper into the body. Just breathe. You feel yourself letting go, allowing whatever it is that you release just gently float away. No need to know where it's going. Just breathe and release. You feel as if you've been caught up in certain things. You feel like to unmesh yourself. Feel as if being pulled down as you try to rise up like crabs in the barrel. What would it feel like? Allow yourself to be uplifted by letting go. Letting go of what was the norm, status quo, what made you feel comfortable. And instead of looking at the past and what was, shift your focus. You look up. You see yourself gazing brightly into the future. Taking a moment just to be, taking it all in. It's as if you are gazing at the horizon. Beautiful sun setting over the ocean. Who knows what tomorrow may bring? But right here in this moment, there is beauty. There's peace. There is safety, sacredness. Allowing the dust to settle. It may have been stirred in the mind, the heart, spirit. And just allowing all of that energetic sediment slowly fall away, settling further and further down. Things become quieter. Feels good to just be and let everything else go for this moment. You're at peace and stillness. Things may be moving and swaying around you. Tide may be ebbing and flowing around you, above you. But you can stay anchored in space. Feel safe and secure. Space. It's just you. You feel like home. You enjoy being here. It's quiet and still. Peaceful. Whatever feeling, embrace it, accept it. You recite within the mind, I accept that I am feeling. You just fill in the blank. Notice what happens when you acknowledge and accept what you're feeling. I accept that I am worried about this. Notice how much more present you become with yourself. How you truly begin to see yourself in this moment. I accept that I may be in fear of this, uncertain of this. I accept that I am anticipating this. I accept that I am assuming or thinking about this. I accept however I'm feeling right now. I accept how my body is feeling. I accept where I am emotionally, how I'm feeling emotionally. I accept it fully. Breathing deep. I accept my ways of thinking, whether they're positive or negative. I can accept my thoughts about myself and my life right now. I can accept it. I accept. I accept how I'm feeling in my connection with spirit, whether close and intact or detached and elusive. I accept my relation to spirit in this moment is this. If I choose, I can go deeper, accepting where I am in my relationships. I can accept where I am in business and career path. Not saying it's always easy to do so, but you can give yourself permission to feel the feels and to accept what comes up. I can accept where I am right now. I accept where I am financially. I accept where I am in this year, in this age, in this time. Other things you accepting? Can you accept in this moment? Maybe you can accept, choose to accept, not knowing or knowing something. Maybe you accept a particular person or relationship just as they are, just as it is. You see, we sometimes think that acceptance means that we take on something and embody it. Something external becomes part of us, internal. But instead, we learn to accept. We're actually bringing awareness, bringing presence to the now. What is here right now. And because we face this head on through acceptance, has no hold on us. It actually creates a sense of freedom to accept what is right here, right now. Empowers us. I accept myself as I am right now. I accept who I am, how I am, right here, right now. I accept all of me. I embrace all of me. When I accept myself, it is there to see the wholeness, purity, innocence, the love that I am. And that is sacred. That is loving myself. Wholeheartedly, unconditionally. I am love. I am accepted. I accept all of who I am right here, right now. I accept all of who I am right now. I am pure, I am whole, I am love. am at peace, at ease in the ebb and flow of life. I breathe in. I breathe out. Take in. And I release. I ebb and I flow. I move up, go down. I sway left, sway to the right. Move back, move forward. I am anchored in experience of life. I may bend, I don't break. My roots are strong, securely fastened. I am rooted in safety. I am nourished and poured into above and below. I am peace. I am whole. I am love. Taking in nice fresh air on the inhale. Releasing, relaxing, settling in on the exhale. I am still. Quiet. Within. Whenever you're ready, and bring some slow, intentional, gentle movement, body. becoming acquainted with yourself, back home, with our physicality. Taking a nice stretch. Giving yourself a squeeze. Taking a breath as you just hold yourself. Feel yourself. Truly loving, pouring into yourself, embracing yourself, caring for yourself, being kind and gentle to yourself. Accepting all of you. When you're ready, and only when you're ready, you can open your eyes gently, coming out of trance. Astro Reiki's like sedated. It's like sedated.
It's magic. And I tell you, I was like this being towards the end there. Light was shooting from my chest, out my back, and from my crown, out my feet. I was rooted in that ground. I haven't felt like that. I was running my energy like you taught me in intuitive development. I was running and it was cool. I felt like a superhero. I was like,
That's cool. That's so interesting. To me, I was like, I don't know why, but I was like somewhere at the bottom of like a body of water. It didn't feel like as vast as the ocean. To be honest, it felt like I was like at the bottom of a lake. I was like, well, it ain't near, I know that much. But I just felt like I was at the bottom of this lake and it was just like all dark and murky, but I was just like, I was okay being there. Like just notice it's like when you're at the bottom of a pool, you know, when you're little and you sit at the bottom of the pool and it's like you hear things, but everything's kind of muffled and muddled. And it's like, you know, when people go by you, they're moving slow and you can feel the waves of, you know, of water moving and shifting around you, shape shifting all around you. It's just kind of like, but you're just sitting there just still. That's kind of what it felt like to me. I'm like, I don't know what's going on around me, but I'm here and I'm cool with it.
and I accept.
Mm.
Every time I accepted something new, I felt just like you said, this freedom, this release every time. And I mean, I was accepting everything. I was going.
Yeah, like I love it. I do that sometimes. Sometimes I'm like, we just instead of like, oh well, I mean, having a gratitude practice is great, but I guess at Arcana we have an acceptance practice. Yeah, Arcana we have an acceptance. I can accept this. This is this. I can accept this is that. I can because it does. Like we experience things and we get into rationalizing, trying to figure it out. Like our brain is trying to figure it out as a way to make peace with ourselves or to understand so we get it. But you just do it's the fucking shortcut. You literally like cross train your brain. You mind hack yourself by cutting to the chase. Because your brain is gonna sit there. That's why we ruminate and try to like overthink and we do all this because we're trying to figure it out. And we're like trying to
Or we're trying to change, what it
yeah,
actually
you
is.
know, we're trying to make it make sense through all these filters that we've, you know, created over the years. And sometimes the lenses, that filter is dirty. Maybe we need a new one, you know? Like we need a camera lens. Maybe we need to switch it out. Like, you know, you got one for the short distance, one for long distance. Maybe you need to switch out the camera lens or something. But regardless, you know, the way I see it is like if you have an acceptance practice, you get straight to the root of it. And
Yep.
then guess what? Because instead of denying it or trying to figure it out, putting energy into trying to figure it out, you said, boom, I'm just going to accept it. It nips it in the bud.
Right. And then it like lets you actually it lets you actually start to grow something new. Like
Yeah.
because
It's almost like a catalyst, right? It's like
totally.
catalytic almost acceptance, right? It's very it's like you alchemize it, like we were talking about meditation, like
Yes.
alchemizing it. You know, you're
Yes.
transmuting and transforming it, just boom, quick magic. Quick magic. There you go. Accepting something. You'll be surprised when you accept something. And I think it's because when you accept, you're being so present, right? And when you're so present with something, it's like there's no hiding it, there's no avoiding it. And then now in that moment, because you're so present, everything else, all the energy that's been all out here, it's like having all the stuff out here, and then there's some right here that you're not paying attention to. But once you pay attention to this, all this right here disappears. So of course you're no longer stressed too much
Right.
about it. Stress, kind of settles or lessens, anxiety lessens, because anxiety and stress is what we're making up scenarios
Yeah.
and all this of what
Yeah.
coulda, shoulda, woulda, or might, and all this.
Right. Right.
If we just cut straight to the chase and be like, I can accept that I just don't like where I am, and then you're like,
Right.
well,
There's that.
okay, and right, and then I'll just be like, all right,
Yeah.
I actually don't feel bad anymore. And it's like I just be like, okay, well,
Yeah. No, that's real. And goes to all those other things too. When we're oh yes, absolutely. It goes into all those other things too when we're trying to fix something.
hmm
It's it is at its current state.
right,
Period.
right,
This is what it is. Regardless if you don't want it to be, or regardless if it could be, just like you just said,
yeah,
this is what it is.
hmm
So what are you even wanting it to be? It is what it is. Like get out of here.
right. But now what? But it's one of those things like, okay, this is what it is, and now what? It's like, and then from there, it's also very empowering, right? When you're like, okay, I could, and
Totally.
now what? Like, well, I could, shit, fuck it. Sometimes you be
Right.
like, I don't care, actually don't care anymore, or actually, this is what I'm gonna do about it. But it's
Right.
empowering, and it helps you to stay in the flow and redirect energy. And that's what I noticed. Acceptance. We think it's like, oh, I gotta accept this and take it in, and then it just as if it's but it's like no, accepting is like just being present with what is, and when you're present, that's when you're in the most power,
Mm.
which is why you have the opportunity. Once you accept something, you're present with it, and guess what? You can regift that bitch and send it back to where it needs to go, or
Right.
something,
You
or find
yeah.
a gift in it for yourself.
There
A
you go.
consolation prize or something. Keep it moving.
There you go. It no longer holds its power. That's literally calling back your power.
Basically,
Yeah. Love it.
we have
Absolutely
acceptance and
love it.
empowerment
Well,
practices here at our conference.
beautiful. Well, we're about to roll out and do these readings, but you know what? I'm going to do what I did last time. In one day, somebody's going to watch these that don't usually go watch them, and they're going to realize this Astro Reiki is my favorite. So I'm going to put it out there on the public again because someone needs to see this, watch it, whatever. Because this shit is fucking fire every fucking time. It's fire. It's so good. So
It's
putting
my
that out
fault.
there. We'll see you guys for the full moon. And yeah, holla.